Hi again, Dr. Adriana Popescu here on the series for how to deal with anxiety, my favorite tools. Who am I? I am a licensed clinical psychologist, addiction and trauma specialist, and empowerment coach. And I've been working with people for over 20 years on a variety of challenging situations, including anxiety. And so, what I want to share with you today are some of my favorite tips and tools for dealing with anxiety. So, in this episode, I want to talk about a timeout because one of the things that happens for people when they get anxious is their mind starts running a bit like a hamster on a wheel. They get really anxious and revved up. Their body starts getting a whole bunch of activations like stress hormones and heart racing, and you can't think straight because the blood flow is leaving your logical part of your brain. I explained all this in my other video number 2. Video number 1 and 2, I talked about that in. So here in video number 3, what I want to talk about is the timeout. First thing you want to do when you're noticing that you're getting really anxious, okay, is you want to slow down for a second and take a timeout. And that timeout might mean you need to go outside, you need to go in the bathroom and close the door and sit in the stall or whatever it may be. You can do a timeout wherever. You can do it at work. You can do it at home. You can do it in your car. Go hide out in your car for a little bit. But give yourself a few minutes to just check in with yourself and see what is happening right now. Why am I freaking out? Okay, so remove yourself from the stressful situation the best you can and slow down for a minute. Okay, time out. What's happening here? What am I feeling in my body? Right? Notice those physical symptoms. Your heart is racing, your breathing is shallow, whatever it may be. Notice the thoughts that you're having. I'm worried about something that's going to happen in the future, or something just happened and I feel really freaked out about it, whatever that is. Okay, what is the stressor? What are you thinking about it? And what are you feeling? You're feeling scared, you're feeling panicked, you're feeling angry, whatever combination of emotions there might be going on with the stressor, okay? So breathing, as we know, is a very effective tool to help us calm down. And there are lots of different strategies for breathing to calm the nervous system, to affect basically, you want the parasympathetic nervous system to kick in. Your vagus nerve is this nerve that runs throughout your body that's highly involved in that relaxation response. So we want to activate that vagus nerve with our breathing. And so a few different ways we can do that is, one, we can just take some deep breaths. Usually when we're anxious, our breath gets really shallow in our chest. So we want to try to bring the breath down deeper into our belly. You might even want to imagine taking a few deep breaths from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes, kind of like this. Breathing out your mouth, you can often breathe in through your nose and breathe out your mouth, and that's going to be more effective, as is making your exhale longer than your inhale, okay? So one form of breathing that some people have found really helpful is called square breathing, where you're basically you're breathing and counting. So you're breathing in square breathing, you're doing actually an equal amount of breathing in, holding the breath, exhaling and pausing, breathing in, holding, exhaling, and pausing. So it might look something like breathing in for the count of 5, hold for 5, exhale for 5, and hold for 5. There's something about that type of breathing that's very calming. If you wanted to make it simpler, you could just, let's say, breathe in for 5 and breathe out for 8. I mean, you pick whatever numbers work for you. But the idea is we're trying to get more oxygen into the brain, because when you are anxious, you tend to rapid breathe and hyperventilate, and you're not getting enough oxygen up into your brain, which isn't helping you to think straight, okay? So breathing is really, really important in slowing down that sympathetic nervous system and getting you more calm and relaxed, okay? The other thing that happens for people when they get anxious or they get into like a full-blown panic is they tend to check out of their bodies. So what we want to do is we want to ground ourselves back in our bodies. And there's some easy ways to do that. You can, for instance, get in touch with your 5 senses. Look around the room. What do you see? Get your mind thinking on, okay, how many square objects are in this room? What in here is the color blue, right? This gets your mind out of that whatever thinking spiral is that is keeping you anxious and gets you focused on something else, and also gets you back in your body because you're using your senses, right? Some people are also tactile. They like to carry like a worry stone or something around, or like, maybe you're going to play with your jewelry, or, put your hands on your knees and gently like, rub your hands on your legs, feel your feet on the ground, right? Feel the chair or the ground beneath you. Basically getting in touch back with your five senses so you can get grounded into your body. I also like to visualize when I'm grounding. I live in California and we have lots of these amazing redwood trees out here. So I like to imagine that I'm like a big, tall redwood tree shooting way up in the sky, and my roots go way down into the earth, and I'm solid and I'm grounded. And even if a storm comes, it can't knock me over because I'm so strong in my trunk and in my roots. I find that to be very helpful sometimes. Okay? So visualization, getting grounded, and then as your nervous system starts to calm down, okay, and you may need to do some other things. You might need to do some tapping or some other strategies that I'm sharing in the other videos. You can find out about tapping in video number 2. At this point, when you're starting to calm down and your nervous system is not so much in that fight, flight, freeze response, then you can start to use your logical brain, like do a reality check, right? What am I so worried about? What am I thinking is going to happen? What is this catastrophic? Usually it's a catastrophic thing. I think something terrible is going to happen. What are the odds that that's really going to happen? Has it ever actually happened before? Or or maybe it's happened once or twice, but I've had like 99 other times that didn't happen. What about all the times when things went really well, right? And so starting to challenge your irrational thoughts, because anxiety is a fear, right? Fears tend to be false evidence appearing real. That's one acronym for it, right? So you got to challenge that evidence that you're using, that your mind is using to create all that panic, and see if it's actually true, okay? And this is where sometimes you might need to call a friend or someone you trust and get a reality check from them. Like, hey, I'm having like this total freak out. Can you help talk me down off the ledge? Can you help talk some reason into me? Okay? Reaching out for support. That's another really helpful tool. Okay? Also, what I would recommend is whatever tools you end up discovering are helpful for you, write them down, because the problem is when you start to get super anxious, you forget you have tools. That all goes out the window. So if you have them written down, the classic way is to put it on an index card and put your top coping skills on there, and make sure you put more than one, because one tool isn't always going to work in every situation. That breathing might not be the most effective strategy in a given situation. You might need to tap. You might need to do some grounding. You might need to do some of the other tools that I'm going to tell you about, okay? So, but put down your top 3 to 5 tools that tend to work well for you, and either put them on an index card that you carry around with you in your wallet, or put it on your phone, put it in a note, and just all you have to remember is in case of emergency, I just have to go to my list, okay? If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. Let me know how some of these tips work for you. And if you want to find out more about all of this, you're welcome to check me out and find out more helpful tools on my website, adrianapopescu.org. Thanks for tuning in.